we need to talk. Not in the channel update kind of way. I'm all good and I've got so many cool things coming up. What I'm talking about is the top Dungeon Master tip. Talk to your players. Please let's talk with our players. Talk to your players. Talk with your players. But how? How do we actually have that awkward conversation about the state of our campaign? How do we say things that need to be said to that one player? You know exactly who I mean. My name's Rich, this is Renegade Rolls, and buckle up folks, this is a video full of uncomfortable truths, including not all players are right for your table, even if you're best friends. And sometimes you just have to pack up your toys and go home. We'll be discussing how to bring up awkward conversations you've been putting off for much too long. Also, I've made some read aloud box text sections so you can have a script for difficult moments. Lots of you might not need that, but if you're struggling to get across what you're trying to say, having a note like this can be really useful. All the advice here applies to players, not just game masters. Anyone should feel that they're free to speak frankly with the whole group. So what should we do at the table? Well, these are the quick fixes to make sure everyone still gets to have a fun time. They're not long-term solutions to problems which can run much deeper. First up, find the time to have a one-to-one conversation. Ideally, this will be during a break in your game or before you start playing. I'm going to use my own name as my problem player. If I'm at your tables and I'm your problem player, well, great. This script is already perfect for you. If not, substitute the other person's name for mine and you'll see where I'm going with this. Hey Rich, shall we get a coffee? I wanted to have a chat with you about the game. Don't go tricking people into thinking the conversation is going to be about something else. That's just mean. Also, the Jean-Luc Picard school of management applies here. He always praises in public and then takes someone aside to give them any criticism. It's never nice to be told off, and it's even worse if you're in front of your friends. Next up is to notice the positives in this player. Unless something's gone very wrong, they're not all bad, surely. If you have someone who's acting out in roleplay and causing trouble there, it's quite likely they'll be a star in combat. So notice those good points and acknowledge them, and this will also help you keep a more balanced picture of that player in your mind. Sometimes if you've got a problem with someone, that negative will be the only thing that your mind will dwell on, where overall they're actually still a good person. It's just this one thing that you need to work on together. Next, let's look at setting expectations. What does good look like and what is the expected behavior around your table? Does anyone in the group actually do the good behavior? If not, it might be unreasonable to be singling out just one person. If you have an occasion where everybody needs a talking to, that is one to do around the table so everyone can hear together. But if we're looking to chat to just one person, then that one-to-one situation is a much better place to be in. Hey Rich, I've noticed you're not taking any notes while everyone else is. Now this is quite a detailed and intrigue-heavy campaign, so the more notes you make, the easier it's going to be for you. Hey Rich, I noticed on your turn you're taking a while to decide what to do, while everyone else is being really quite speedy about it. Try to think about what your character will do during other people's turns, and check your inventory and spell slots and things when you've got this downtime, rather than on your own turn. Next up, and this is not so much of a fix as more of a little reprieve for you as GM during a game, think about distractions. If you find that they're playing up during role-playing scenes, try and distract them with something shinier of their own to do. This is one of the very few times I would actually encourage using puzzles in RPGs. Small side note, I'm brewing a bit of a rant about why I don't think puzzles in general are a good fit for role-playing games. That one's going to be a bit spicy. It's coming soon. While the bard's chatting to the princess over there, you notice something odd about the mosaic pattern on the floor. While their conversation's going on, see if you can figure it out. That might feel a bit patronising if your player cottons on, but it can be really useful in a pinch, especially if you're playing with younger players around your table who maybe don't have the attention span of some of the adults. Next, be clear on consequences. You'll feel like a kid threatening to take your ball away, but if you're not having a good time, you don't have to be there. You might have heard the adage before that no D&D is better than bad D&D, and I'd very much agree. When you're threatening a consequence, this needs to be shared in a calm way. Shouting and swearing or getting violent might be tempting. Your players might be absolutely infuriating, but it's not going to help. Hey Rich, if you don't feel able to take a back seat in scenes that your character's not present, I will ask you to leave the table. Hey Rich, if you keep choosing not to engage with the plot hooks that I'm sharing, I can't run a game for you tonight. It's all very well sharing threats, but you need to be able to follow through on them. People can be shocked when you actually deliver on a threat. Oh, I was just messing around, or I was only joking. It can be hard sticking to your guns and not backing down. This is a hobby that we love, and to say that you don't want to play, that can feel like a betrayal of your friends, but also of all of the time and effort that you've already put into the game. But if you are having a genuinely bad time with your group, this will feel like an absolute weight off your shoulders when you're able to have that conversation. Fun fact, all of these tips come from the UNICEF advice on how to have conversations with children. When I was looking around for inspiration for this video, it didn't feel right to be looking at stuff for like a corporate world or how to manage a breakup. The relationship between Game Master and players, because we're doing this for fun, it is much more like in a family, where firing someone or taking disciplinary action is probably not really on the table. Small side note, what was interesting to me when I was drafting this script is how much revising I needed to do of that read aloud text. In my first draft, I was including phrases like, "Oh, I'm sorry, but," and "Oh, I'll have to ask you to leave." These are people-pleasing padding. While at first glance they feel like they might soften the blow, phrases like this can do more harm than good by muddying what you're actually trying to say. It's difficult, it can be scary, but being direct and being clear makes everything so much better. You can grab the text for each of these box texts on the Renegade Rolls Patreon. The post going along with it will be totally free, there is no need to sign up. I feel like it would be weird to gate this information behind a paywall. If you'd like to sign up from just £3 a month or $3 something in American, you can find interviews with cool people, exclusive deep dives, uncut versions of my actual play games, and a super secret corner of the Renegade Rolls Discord server. There's a link below to the text of those text boxes and everything else. Things to do between sessions. Life is busy, and if you're watching a video like this, I'm guessing you are going to be more invested in the success of the game than others around your table. That's totally fine, someone's got to be. It just means that you need to be a little bit smart about how you address some elephants in the room. This is especially true when you have a while between sessions and only have the dreaded group chat as a way of communicating with your players. The ideal situation would be to have lots of little casual chats with your players in between games, but unless you're school friends or work colleagues maybe, it's probably not going to be an option for you. So this section is all about the in-between game stuff, the WhatsApp groups, the Discord channels, or Signal group chats if you're cool. I'm a huge fan of nuance, of subtlety, sarcasm, and general tomfoolery, but they do not translate well into the group chat. In order to communicate well, we really do need to be sincere. Dressing up your concerns in jokes and emojis, hiding behind memes to do your talking for you, well, it's fun, but you will lose out. Being sincere, being direct, and being clear just makes everything so much easier. When I'm running games, I like to be super clear about the expectations around it. That includes the in-campaign stuff like the tone, the feel, the setting, but also the mundane stuff, the scheduling, session times. What do we do if someone can't make it? Some people see all this extra admin as a big turn-off. They just want to rock up and have fun. But if your group are willing to work together on this, to actually say when they're free to play and when they're not as far ahead as they can, as well as to share their hopes and dreams and wishes for the game, everything becomes so much more fun. I think you can have a fun session without any of this stuff, especially if your game is more about the beer and pretzels and hanging out. But if, like me, you're searching for those big stories, those dramatic moments that need much more involvement from your players to be in character and to be a cohesive group, then clarity around communications is so important. Having said all that, it is exactly zero fun to have someone in your group who is domineering like that. The person who makes unreasonable demands on your time, or the GM who insists that you read this novel before you can start the campaign. Sadly, ain't nobody got time for that. And if it's your wish for your players to be up to speed on a certain book or a movie, you need to give them a good long time to watch it. Likewise with scheduling, it is okay to miss a game occasionally. It's not the end of the world, as long as you can get back in your routine sooner or later. There is a happy middle ground somewhere where you're still firm on your convictions, but you have the flexibility to work with the real world and how your players' real lives actually fit into making a campaign happen. Everyone has wants and needs for what happens at the table. My wants for a campaign would be this epic saga where the characters grow as the threat escalates and the threat to the world grows as the threat to the personal relationships comes and it all comes to a head and it's amazing. What I actually need from a game is to have a nice time with my friends and to enjoy each other's company. What will actually happen is that I'll want to get as close to that magical pinnacle as I can, but in reality we'll be somewhere along the road, and I need to be okay with that because otherwise I'm going to hurt myself. Last note on the between game stuff, you do not want to send a text to the person the text was about. Avoid side chat talking about people wherever you can. If you do have something to get off your chest, do it on the phone or do it in person. Likewise by text, nuance really doesn't come across. In person or by video call if that's your only option is the best way to go. There's been a few times in my TTRPG career where we have had to have chats. I'm lucky to be surrounded by adults, so we are able to have mature conversations. But I was really dreading bringing up some of these conversations, even though everyone involved is absolutely lovely. In one of the first campaigns that I was in, the Game Master had pretty much written a novel for the setting. It was incredibly detailed, the world was lush and vibrant and full of details. The only trouble was that we, the player characters, felt like bit parts in this much larger story that was happening just out of shot. And that felt really frustrating. We felt like we were being told a story and didn't feel we were able to interact nearly as much as we wanted to. In the end, that group did decide to go separate ways. I think we just had very different styles, but it was all done with good grace and hopefully no hard feelings. An example from one of my tables where I was a player in my friend Kat's campaign, the designer of the amazing Renegade Rolls logo, we had a really big chat about gaslighting because she'd planned on using a false Hydra in the game, which can alter characters' memories and it can make keeping track of everything that's going on incredibly difficult. We all decided it would be really fun to do. But we also had regular check-ins to compare notes, where we'd look at what the characters knew versus what we the players knew, and making sure we were all very clear on the differences between them so that nobody got more confused than needs be. I made a whole video a while back about the time my GM gaslit me. It comes with lots of content warnings, as you'd expect, but if you're up for it, it's a really interesting look back. I've had one occasion ever where I've had to stop a game halfway through. Luckily, this wasn't to do with my players at all, it was to do with the system. I gathered some folks online to do a playtest of a game that had just come out. It was in Kickstarter playtesting land, and it was for an IP that I really liked, but we could just not figure out the mechanics. I'm someone with an engineering background, I'm used to looking at technical documents, but I could not make head nor tail of this. And I had to say to my players, sorry folks, I do not know what's happening here. In the end, we decided to ditch 90% of the mechanics and just play the whole rest of the game with the one core system that we all pretty much understood. This is a good example of when it can be absolutely nobody's fault, but things still don't work out the way they should. And nope, I'm not telling you what system that is. I think it's changed a lot since then, but I'm not sure. I really do hope so, and if I revisit it and I like it, it'll get a review on the channel. Some general tips which apply at the table and in between games, just generally when we're thinking about the hobby. We play games because it's fun. If we're not having fun, what the hells are we doing with our Thursday nights? Some friends are just the wrong people to be playing with. Even if you get on great in other walks of life, you just might not be a good fit for each other around a gaming table. Even when you're trying to lay down the law and call out problem behaviour, be a friend first and a human. You're not corporate HR, you're friends. Next tip is to raise things as you feel them. If something's made you uncomfortable, if something's not sitting right with you, have that conversation sooner rather than later. It's also better to have lots of little conversations than store everything up and then have one huge one. Overall, life is better when we are brave enough to have a few hard conversations. Asking that boss for a raise, asking that pretty person to go out with you, telling your friend around a table to stop stacking dice and to pay attention to the game. It might not be easy, it might fill you with dread to think about, but your quality of life afterwards, once you're out the other side, is going to be so much better. If you're feeling inspired to bring up big topics with your group as well, I've got a good one for you. This is all about prejudice. Prejudice in our games is something that many groups will shy away from, but if you're playing with folks who are mature enough to handle more difficult themes, your games will become much deeper and you'll be able to tell more powerful stories together. I'll see you next time.